Ayo, Starving Writer here, and I just beat God of War 2018. So let's talk about it. God of War 2018 is a continuation of the PlayStation exclusive God of War series that started many years ago. I remember beating the first one and playing the second. I didn't finish anything after that. I could be wrong, but I remember it being kind of a constant hack and slash kind of game with puzzles scattered throughout the game, kind of like the latest iteration. So this game follows the same character, Kratos, a renowned Spartan, but it has been a long time since his tenure in Greece. I'm not really sure what happened in between then and now, but he's found himself in the Nordic land full of new gods and creatures to fight. The game starts off with Kratos and his son Atreus gathering wood to build a pyre for Kratos' recently passed wife, Atreus' mother. Her final wish was for her ashes to be spread atop the highest peak in the Nine Realms, thus beginning Kratos and Atreus' quest. At the beginning, Kratos feels the need to make sure Atreus' skills are up to snuff for a long, treacherous journey, so the tutorial portion of the game fits in nicely with the story of testing his son. After a brief hunt and run in with a troll, it was time to move out into the world. The combat in God of War was pretty straightforward. Kratos can hit with a heavier light attack, stringing together combos for more damage or attack area. My favorite part was he could throw his magical axe and call it back. Sometimes an enemy just called for being hit in the head multiple times with the flying axe. He also had a light or heavy throw depending on the situation. That was freaking awesome. I think God of War would fall under an open world game with everything there is to explore in it. Once I got far enough in the story, I had a tiny boat to travel a huge lake with plenty of landing points. There are side quests to follow that took me to most areas of the map. Some places I had to travel of my own accord to see what kind of treasure could be found or scary, strong monster could be fought. Don't worry if the lake and the surrounding areas feel small. Shortly into the game, Kratos gains access to the Bifrost, allowing him to travel to other realms. Not all of the realms are readily available. They do have to be unlocked via story points or discovering cipher pieces, hidden items and chests throughout the game to allow Atreus to learn how to speak another language, and it opens up a portal for some reason. One thing I didn't really enjoy was upgrading my equipment. It was easy for Atreus because he only had a couple of things to upgrade and not a lot of variety to choose from. Kratos, on the other hand, has three pieces of armor, a pommel for his axe, and different enchantments that could be put on all of it. There was basically only three different builds to go with: runic power, which dictated the strength of his light or heavy runic attacks. I believe they may have also lowered the cooldown for those attacks. A tanky build that focuses on survival with high health and defense. And lastly, the build I chose to follow, a more damage based build. It didn't have a lot of runic power in it, so I just focused on runic attacks that would give me room if too many enemies were around, like blasting them out of the area so I could get some breathing room. To upgrade the equipment, I had to collect a lot of hack silver and various rare materials. Hack silver was more of a currency than anything used to purchase upgrades and gear. To make or upgrade gear, it required materials relevant to the gear. Basic gear at the beginning of the game was pretty easy to find the upgrade mats for, but the end game stuff called for farming areas that were very hard and got more difficult the farther in you got. I got the base of some decent gear in the end, but I didn't really care to fully upgrade it. There was an RPG like aspect where I could level up my various skills after I gained enough experience points. There were different trees to follow for weapons and fighting styles. Weapon skills were locked behind weapon level, which could only be raised by upgrading with items gained through the story. And I was able to get enough experience points to level up every possible skill before the end, and I didn't even complete most of the optional quests. The gameplay itself wasn't bad. I just didn't care to go all out to finish 100%. I enjoyed most of the puzzles, they weren't terribly hard to decipher. The only time I got stuck was fighting a particularly tough optional boss. I ended up lowering the difficulty to get through it. I know I could have probably beat it had I gone through all the work to upgrade my build, find the perfect runes, and what have you, but the game wasn't that appealing to me. I was happy enough to test the optional farm grounds to see what they were all about and then move on with the story. One thing I did really like about this game was getting to see the various gods and creatures from Norse lore. Draugr, trolls, giants, and even some Valkyrie are in the game. Now, I'm no expert in Norse mythology, but I do know some, and for the most part, the game seemed to follow the canon story. Some things were changed probably to make the story work, but they're easy to ignore, and there may be some better explanation in the sequel. All in all, I would say this was a good game. I was going back and forth for a while on where I would like to put it on my shelf. And the story was excellent, watching the growth of Kratos and Atreus, his father and son, having to come together to finish their shared quest. I can't really speak much more on the matter for risk of spoilers and whatnot, but it was a great story. So I think I'm just gonna have to place this on the top shelf for the story alone. The gameplay, it wasn't terrible. It's just not really my cup of tea. That's why I didn't feel bad lowering the difficulty, and I'm probably not going to go through and 100% complete this game. I am pretty psyched for the sequel. I don't know if I'll be able to get that on console. Might need to get a console, or I'll just wait a few years for it to come out on PC like this one did. All right, well, now we're done with that one. Time to move on to the next one. I will see you there. Bye.